and I'll hand over to our moderator for today, Ali Raza Rizvi from IUCN. Ali, over to you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. I'm delighted to welcome you to the 7th EbA Knowledge Day being organized by GIZ and IUCN under the umbrella of the Friends of Ecosystem-Based Adaptation, FEBA. My name is Ali Raza Rizvi, and I'm responsible for IUCN's global work on EBA and disaster risk reduction. A year ago, when we met for the last annual EbA Knowledge Day, we were all still trying to adjust to a new normal. Sitting in our homes, making sense of the various virtual platforms, and trying to remain focused in spite of all the associated distractions, families, pets, neighbors who would start singing in the middle of your presentation. Here we are today, still mostly at home, but more or less comfortable in this virtual environment, and having accepted the fact that the internet will surely have issues during the most important meetings. We have also learned that the new power move is, sorry, I have to leave this call for another important meeting. However, the fact is that this new normal of meeting virtually has not come in the way of effective performance, especially for knowledge sharing and having policy discourses, and is a huge step towards greening the environment sector. These carbon-friendly processes have surely made these meetings cost-effective, if not totally efficient. But after more than 14 months of everything from home, people, and everything, we are tired, and we would be returning to so-called normal times. And there are already apprehensions, and experts are saying that in a rush towards economic recovery, the world could go in the wrong direction, as has happened in the past after every economic recession. We need to see what role we can play, and as we return to a mostly in-person format and put measures in place to tackle the inevitable consumption way of doing business. Coping with the pandemic brought the need to address issues in a holistic manner to the forefront again. This virus has no respect for personal space. It does not recognize national or international borders, and we are not out of this until everyone is safe. We need to tackle global issues with global to local actions. The pandemic has again reinforced the need to have a better integrated strategy to cope with global challenges. And we must relook at our coping strategies for tackling climate change. We need to review if climate adaptation needs to be further integrated. Does our MO need a revisit? Are we still largely polarized in our climate adaptation measures? That is either tilted towards socioeconomic or biodiversity silos. Are our adaptation approaches science-based, data-driven, technology-oriented, while integrated with indigenous knowledge and inclusive? Or does all this remain rhetorical when it comes to action on ground, which is mostly business as usual? Thus, it's fitting that the theme of today's EbA Knowledge Day is overcoming barriers to adaptation, employing innovative EbA approaches to upscale nature-based solutions. As an umbrella term, nature-based solutions or NBS encompasses approaches of working with nature, such as ecosystem-based adaptation. Today, we will review and look closely as how we are faring, what course correction is needed, what are the gaps in policy and knowledge, and how to overcome these barriers. We have a very diverse panel with expertise from policy to knowledge generation and practice to action on ground. Together, we will have an interactive discussion and deep dive into how to overcome barriers for effective adaptation. We have a number of breakout groups later in the day where experts will share their first-hand experiences and knowledge. Your active participation is requested to take full advantage of the expertise and experiences here today. Let's start the proceedings with a formal opening, and for that, I hand over to Harald Lossack. Harald?
Thank you very much, Ali. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues from all parts of the world, on behalf of GIZ, German Development Corporation, I am very pleased to welcome you to this 7th EbA Knowledge Day. It is, as Ali said, for the second time that we have to meet only virtually due to the ongoing pandemic. But despite this rather sad circumstance, there is also good news in it. We definitely reduce our footprint and we broaden at the same time our outreach and audience considerably. My name is Harald Lossack and I'm the head of the global project on mainstreaming EbA, commissioned by the German Federal Ministry for the Environment, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety and implemented by GIZ. It seems that in the wake of COVID-19, which highlights the critical connection between human and ecosystem health, EbA is more important than ever. On the one hand, we have to guarantee healthy ecosystems to prevent new pandemics or new outbreaks of zoonosis in the future. On the other hand, we have to be very intelligent and innovative in order to see the potential of applying nature-based solution measures for green recovery efforts to be long-lasting. And these measures are essentially EbA measures. And there we have the chance to make the economic case for EbA. Governments, social and economic actors would recognize the multiple dividends of EbA benefits as a contribution to social and economic development. As it is widely known, nature-based solutions for adaptation, or EbA measures, exist for a broad range of climate change-related problems. They concentrate on the protection of people by focusing on ecosystem conservation, restoration, and sustainable management. EbA measures are often based on known techniques, particularly in the fields of agriculture, forestry, water, and landscape management. And sometimes they are not labeled as EbA. But the main challenge for effective EbA mainstreaming and implementation lies in the need for building strong political will and backing from the highest level. In order to reach this backing, we urgently need more exchange on what is working well, on good and best practices. Therefore, we have established several exchange formats and platforms. The Knowledge Day is one of them. Another one is the Community of Practice for NBS on Adaptation, or EbA, to be held later this year. We are working together in a great variety of knowledge networks and platforms. It is a great pleasure to work with IUCN and other important institutions in the Panorama platform and maintain the Adaptation Community Network. Let us work together even more to overcome the barriers to adaptation. Let us continue to employ innovative EbA approaches to upscale nature-based solutions. Our challenge for the next month will be to build strong advocacy to guarantee full integration of NBS EbA concerns in the upcoming negotiations of the UNFCCC and the Global Biodiversity Framework. We are on a good way, but convincing decision makers is still and urgently needed. And having said that, it is a great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Philipp Behrens. Dr. Behrens is the head of the International Climate Initiative at the German Federal Ministry for the Environment, Nature Conservation, and Nuclear Safety. He has been working for the ministry for more than 13 years. He started his ministerial career in the climate division and has worked since then in several national, European, and international contexts. As a law graduate, he holds a PhD in public international law. Before taking over the EKI in 2019, he headed the Minister's Cabinet Affairs Unit for 5 years. Dr. Behrens, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear or see me? Because I still get the translation in my ears. Okay. I hope that you can see me and hear me. Okay. Just give me a sign if it's not working. Ali, Harald, thank you very much for your opening words, and good afternoon, good morning, dear colleagues, EbA practitioners, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. Thank you all very much for joining from all over the world. I'm very pleased to welcome you to the 7th EbA Knowledge Day on behalf of the German Ministry for the Environment, the BMU, and its International Climate Initiative, the EKI. Many, many thanks to IUCN and GIZ for organizing and hosting today's event. It's always a pleasure to participate in events of the EbA community. And I'm very glad that we continue to consolidate and expand our network with new members, expertise, and ideas. I would like to stress the importance of networks of knowledge sharing right at the beginning, because your engagement and expertise is, of course, one key component for overcoming barriers to adaptation, our topic of today. From the overwhelming reaction to the recently opened call for applications to EKI-funded global EbA funds, we can see that the will to overcome those barriers is definitely there. COVID-19 pandemic certainly has become an additional barrier. However, as Ali also pointed out, over the last year, we have also seen that virtual events have the advantage of reaching even more participants. The pandemic, as we discussed last year at the EbA Knowledge Day, provides a window of opportunity for us to even stronger promote EbA and its potential for sustainable, resilient, and green recovery. Leading up to the UNFCCC COP26 and the CBD COP15, I would like to encourage you to use this momentum to promote EbA on the highest level. Your support more and more NECs, NAPs, and other sectoral policies contain EbA approaches as proposed measures. In the past 12 years, EKI has supported many partner countries in mainstreaming EbA in policy and legal framework at national to local level. From national public investment funding in Peru, over EbA action and priority mapping in South Africa's ecosystems, to coastal zone management at village level in Indonesia. And we need to keep in mind that this mainstream also takes the maybe more prominently discussed concept of nature-based solutions. In the context of the current discussion around nature-based solutions, I would like to point out that for us, the EKI, nature-based solutions for adaptation is synonymous with EbA. And we have over 12 years of evidence, investment, and established understanding and political support for EbA that we can and must use in the discussions around nature-based solutions. I dare to say that our joint work and the evidence generated from EbA over the last decade have in fact underpinned the development of the very umbrella concept of nature-based solutions, catalyzing the idea that beyond adaptation, nature is and must be part of the solution. Although adaptation is one key pillar of the Paris Agreement, we have to acknowledge, as the adaptation gap report states, that we are lagging far behind. And although adaptation finance is slowly growing, we know it is not growing fast enough. we must find ways to accelerate and scale up the implementation of EbA, and we need to put even more efforts in convincing the private sector that investments in innovative adaptation measures are not just socio-ecological benefits, but also economic benefits. To better engage the private sector, attract additional finance, and convince decision makers, we have to provide information and robust figures on the cost efficiency of EbA measures. For this reason, I would like to highlight 3 out of many valuable knowledge products elaborated under the EbA community of practice and FIBA. First, a source book of EbA evaluation methods for decision-making with over 40 application examples. Second, a report on 10 finance instruments for ecosystem-based adaptation. And third, recently launched guidebook for monitoring and evaluating ecosystem-based adaptation preventions. Since 2008, EbA has been one of the top priorities of the GIZ adaptation portfolio. From the beginning on, it was our aim to support EbA action from pilot projects and knowledge generation to upscaling and mainstreaming. We are happy that GIZ has contributed to the establishment of EbA as a firmly established approach for adapting to the impacts of climate change through over 60 projects and a funding volume more than 350 billion euros, making up for roughly 50% of our total adaptation portfolio. But EbA in GIZ is much more than these 6 projects. What I personally like and advocate for is our integrated approach. From the very beginning, we have tried to think climate change and biodiversity together, overcoming silos. This is, for instance, why many of our projects in the biodiversity funding area do integrate EbA in their project design. And EbA will remain a priority for GIZ adaptation. One important measure how the GIZ promotes upscaling is via our so-called second-generation GIZ projects. We have shifted GIZ from smaller pilots and short projects to projects that truly operate in land and seascapes with a large scale, a longer duration, and that are implemented by consortia. And these consortia need to have a high local content. This shift helps to unfold impacts more efficiently and sustainably. And it supports the establishment of stronger alliances with our political and strategic partners. 3 of those large-scale GIZ projects, EbA in Latin America and the Caribbean, that have recently started or are currently being prepared, will share their project approaches with you in the breakout session. I would like to thank you for your participation and most importantly for the time and energy that you as part of the EbA community invest. I'm glad to see the community grow and the generated experiences and expertise put into practice. It makes me very confident that even though there are barriers for upscaling EbA, with continued joint effort, we'll be able to overcome them. Let me thank once again IUCN and GIZ for your efforts that go far beyond organizing and hosting today's EbA Knowledge Day. I'm looking forward to the panel discussion and continued exchange. As always, we at GIZ are eager to learn from you and your projects. Thank you very
much. Thank you, Dr. Philipp Behrens, for those insightful comments. It's so critical, as you said, that we need to have an integrated approach for climate adaptation. Because if we will remain polarized, which is the case in climate adaptation, unfortunately, either socioeconomic or biodiversity, we need to bring these together, as you said, because climate adaptation cannot work in a vacuum. So if there is poverty or if there is economic loss or not inclusive approaches, things will not be, investment cannot be maximized. So it's great to see your Resolve, Wiki Resolve, and all these experts who are promoting an integrated approach and using nature and people-centered approaches. So that's the future, and hopefully we will be able to learn together. And in this context, it's very helpful and great to see that our high-level policy makers are also thinking on the same lines. So our next on agenda, let's hear some high-level policy makers with an emphasis on Latin America, because Latin America has shown the world that by employing ecosystem-based adaptation measures, they can take forward both poverty reduction elements, climate change, and biodiversity together. So we will hear from ministers from across the region, including Peru, Chile, El Salvador, and Guatemala. And then to showcase a country that is actively growing their EbA initiative, we have a message from Guinea-Bissau. And then following the minister's message, we will immediately go into a virtual coffee break, and you are invited to use matchmaking, as we say, for technical knowledge sharing, chat and explore publications and complete the survey during the coffee break. Following the coffee break, please come back here at 4 p.m. Bonn time, 10 a.m. DC. And then we will have a panel discussion on employing innovative EbA approaches to upscale nature-based solution. Now let's go to the minister's message and see what our policymakers are saying on the 7th EbA Knowledge Day.